All right, let's just get right into it. If you're a fan of science fiction, you've probably felt it, that kind of fault line that runs right through the fandom. You know, it's this conflict that can get, well, surprisingly heated. It's a whole battle over what even counts as real sci-fi. So today, we're going to break down that great divide.
Oh man, I'm sure you've been there, right? You're so excited about some new book or a movie you just saw, and then someone hits you with that classic line, that's not real sci-fi. Ugh, it's just so frustrating, isn't it? That comment just immediately throws up a wall. That right there, that's the sound of gatekeeping, and that's exactly what we're going to get into.
So what's really going on here? Is this just, a simple disagreement, like you like chocolate, I like vanilla? Or is there something deeper happening? Well, in this little explainer, we are absolutely going to get to the bottom of it. We're going to look at what really defines the two sides of this whole argument, and more importantly, why it can get so darn toxic.
Okay, so the whole thing really boils down to two little terms, hard and soft science fiction. But what do they actually mean? Look, figuring this out is step one to making sense of this whole mess.
So here's the breakdown. On one side, you've got hard sci-fi. This stuff is all about scientific accuracy, rigor. Think of something like The Martian, right? The whole plot is basically him solving real-world engineering and physics problems. The science is the story. But then on the other side, you have soft sci-fi. Now this is more focused on things like sociology, psychology, philosophy. The science is kind of the stage, the backdrop for exploring what it means to be human. A perfect example is Dune. Yeah, the spice and the planet's ecology are super important, but the real story? It's all about politics and religion and power and destiny.
And look, just having these different categories, that's not the issue here. The problem really starts when people start using these labels like weapons. That's when it stops being a cool discussion about what we love and starts being about who belongs and who doesn't. So what does that actually look like?
Yeah, it's like there's a playbook for this stuff. First up, you've got the purity test. This is when someone dismisses a great story as just fantasy in space because, the warp drive doesn't adhere to current physics. Then there's the barrier of entry. This is when somebody uses super complex jargon not to help you understand, but to make you feel dumb and unwelcome. And finally, my favorite, the snob list. This is the whole idea that you're only a true fan if you've read this one very specific, usually super obscure list of authors.
So here's the thing, the real takeaway. This kind of behavior, it's not really about a deep love for physics or some noble commitment to the genre. It's not. It's really about using complexity like a shield, a way to feel superior inside a little niche they've carved out. It's just an attempt to make their own taste seem better by putting everyone else's down.
Okay, so that's the problem. Enough about that. How do we actually move past it? What's the solution here? Well, the good news is there are totally constructive ways we can bridge this gap and, build a much better, more welcoming community for everybody.
This right here, this is the absolute key. The most powerful thing we can all do is just shift the question, change the whole conversation. So instead of asking, is this scientifically plausible? Let's start asking, hey, what's the fascinating thought experiment this story is playing with? That one little shift, it changes everything.
So here are three pretty simple rules for making that happen. First, start with the why. Focus on the big ideas the story is digging into, not just the physics of how the spaceship works. Second, embrace the hybrids. I mean, come on, some of the absolute best sci-fi out there beautifully mashes up hard science with these huge sociological questions. And third, and this one's really important, if you're someone who knows the science, use that knowledge to guide people, not to exclude them. Share what you know to help someone else appreciate the story even more. Don't use it like a pop quiz.
I mean, at the end of the day, this is what it's all about, isn't it? The reason we love science fiction, in all its amazing forms, is because it's about possibility. It's about pushing the boundaries of what we can even imagine. So let's just make sure our community, our fandom, reflects that exact same spirit of openness and endless exploration.
All right, so let's start that better conversation, right now. Forget about debating what's real or not. I want to hear from you. What book do you think is the ultimate hybrid? The one that just perfectly balances mind-bending science with really deep philosophical ideas. Let's stop arguing and start celebrating the absolute best of what this genre has to offer.